So this story comes out of Idaho somewhere. And basically, it involves something called the Community Library Network in Post Falls, Idaho. It's on the western part of the Panhandle. This is a library system that oversees 7 different buildings and a bookmobile. And its board of trustees, like any board of trustees, they have to keep an eye on the budget. That's what you want them to do. So back in July, they were having a discussion about whether they should reduce or eliminate Sunday hours for the whole system. Like, should we just close down all of our libraries on Sunday because we're keeping them open? Maybe people are not using them. It's expensive, and that's a way we could save money. So what they found out at that meeting is if you close the libraries on Sunday, you would reduce one part-time position at every library, and it would save you about $28,000 a year in total when you add up everything. So $28,000 if you shut down the library on Sundays. On the other hand, what they were told at the meeting is a lot of people use the library on Sunday. They were told that how many people access the internet? A lot. How many times the study rooms were booked by students who were trying to study with their friends or by themselves. People were using the libraries on Sunday. So if you closed it, it would hurt the community. So they discussed all that, but they didn't take a vote at the time. And all of that is a normal conversation for a library board of trustees to have, whether or not they vote to close them or not. But this is the part I want to show you because it's a 5-member board, and the board chair, her name is Rochelle Otteson. She argued that the library should remain closed on Sunday for a very different reason. Let me play you what she said at that meeting in July.
Well, I know many at these tables don't subscribe to this, but the Lord blesses people and we keep the Sabbath day holy. I think having people work on Sunday is actually to our detriment.
I'm pretty sure.
Remove that. There we go. She said, the Lord blesses people who keep the Sabbath day holy. I think having people work on Sunday is actually to our detriment. Like, we should close the library on Sunday because, Jesus said so. One board member at the time chimed in to say, I'm paraphrasing here, that's batshit crazy. What she actually said was, I'm pretty sure not everybody in this community holds to that. So I think we need to look at our whole community concerning ours. So interesting. So a few days later, they had another meeting with the same board of trustees. And this time, Otteson spoke again. And this time, she came prepared with the Bible in hand. Here is that clip.
So as far as closing on Sundays, most other government entities are closed on Sundays. This is not an emergency service. No one's going to bleed out if they don't get a book on Sunday. Anyway, Exodus 28-10 says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within the gates. So it sounds like we shouldn't be causing other people to work as well as not working ourselves.
I'm sorry, this is a government agency and we need to be available for everyone.
Kudos to that board member at the very end there, just shouting that one down. Like, what are you doing? You're quoting the Bible and saying that's the reason we shouldn't make other people work. How much do you want to bet Rochelle Otteson goes to a restaurant on Sundays where people have to serve her? So she probably causes other people to work on Sundays all the time. But that person chimed in to say this is a government agency. You can't play that game. Another trustee, not in the clip, but also said some religions consider Saturday to be the Sabbath day. So what up with that? And she had no response to that. But she did bring up how the founding fathers are on her side here. And she said it's in our best interests to not dishonor God. So since that time, starting last month, Americans United for Separation of Church and State stepped in to warn the board that if they close down on Sundays for religious reasons, That could violate the Establishment Clause, and the board has a legal obligation to refuse to act on Miss Ottison's religious grounds. This week, the Freedom from Religion Foundation chimed in, or at least this month, and they said she needs to stop promoting her personal religious beliefs at these meetings. It's unconstitutional. And again, this whole issue, this has nothing to do with whether or not the library should close on Sundays. That's an issue they're going to have to deal with, and whatever, I don't have a stake in it one way or the other. But they cannot shut down the library on Sunday because God wants them to. That's where they're going to come into a problem. By the way, 3 of the 5 board members, including Ottison, they were all elected recently over the summer after running on a campaign promoting censorship and keeping books that they think are offensive out of the hands of kids. So keep that in mind. People, vote in local elections. It matters because these people all vote, and they all vote for the craziest members of their group. So here's what happened recently. Those 3 members, the conservatives on this 5-member board, they did vote to close the library on Sundays. But after they did that, the board's attorney is like, you guys, we may be opening the door to litigation here because you just voted on that after all the batshit crazy stuff about, Exodus, or whatever the Bible said. And then the same board voted 4-1 to table the Sunday closures, even though they already voted to close them. I don't know what the hell's going on. What I do know is these people are setting themselves up for a big mistake. If they can't justify their Sunday closures for secular reasons, they're going to be in for a world of trouble. By the way, that same 3-member conservative majority, they also suggested at a recent meeting we should disaffiliate from the American Library Association because they called it ultra-liberal, and they said, how dare it oppose censorship because it hates the family and traditional religious values. That's what happens when you allow these people to take over anything, a school board, a library board, city council. Like, they will just take the most insane positions possible because there's no one there to stop them. Just a messed up situation completely. I'll pause there. Is there any other chats or comments? Now's your time to get them in. Joe's writes, also run in local elections. It's feasible for a lot of people. Don't just vote, run. People need a choice. Thank you, transitional old lady. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. I think one of the problems is conservatives, who tend to be more ignorant on these things, are so confident in their own abilities. And progressives, who should run in these things, are always self-critical. Like, I'm not the best person for the job. There might be other people to run for these positions. It's like, no, that's you. You go run. And it doesn't have to be for like Congress. You, like I said, school board, library trustee. Those are local positions that get very little attention, but are so important for the community. Please consider running for some of these seats. They're super important.